Good morning, everyone. This is Nate G. It is spring break, March 26th. We're going to do a session here on SAM. We're going to do some scans in SAM and see if we can't find some setups to watch over this week. I would imagine this week is a little on the slow side because a lot of people are gone for spring break. I got the SAM scanner up. We've got some new tabs and showing up here. As soon as we get some names in there, we'll have my watch list and D-Man's watch list in here. So I'm super excited for that. And today we're just kind of going sideways. Yesterday we kind of went sideways, so we should have a lot of 30-minute squeezes setting up. So I thought we'd do a little scan for that and see what we can find. So I've got the S&P 500 pulled up here. And I'm going to sort this by, I guess we can sort this by this new tab. S up, squeezes that are up. And then we get a nice collection here. There's 5 of them. A plus is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, that's kind of nice. I haven't played with that yet. And then we can kind of take a look at a few of these. And what I wish I could do was make this... I guess I could do that. And then we can look at... Hold on, let me see if I can make this a little easier. So we can look at charts and see the watch list at the same time. We'll see how that works. A little half and half there, a little less than half and half, and then we'll move them after we've gone through it. Okay, so let's check some of these out. We'll start top down, right? We'll go Amazon. What are we looking at? 1 hour 30. I mean, that chart, it looks ready to go. Let's see, we'll have a 30-minute here. Somebody just said they picked up some Amazon. Trader G, you picked up some Amazon? Yeah, that looks gorgeous. So I'm going to put Amazon as a possibility. Get my little sheet here. We can mark up Amazon. So all I did here, as you can see, is I used the SAM squeezes up and squeezes down function here in the S&P 500. And I just sorted by that column. And so, we have Amazon as the number 2 list here. You can see they have 5 A plus setups. And we're moving again. 1 on the daily, and we're moving again. Hold on. 1 on the daily, 1 on the 1 hour, 1 on the 30-minute, 15, and 10-minute. So that's a nice setup right there. Let's see what else we have. So Amazon's a definite markup. Man, things are moving around like crazy at the moment. WTW. That's more on like, oh, I see. Public limited company. That's an interesting chart. What's that look like on the daily? Oh boy. That's pretty interesting on the daily. I'm gonna write that one down. That we can mark up if we want. Let's see what else here. LOY, I know that one is going to be near all-time highs on the daily. And that one has 78 1 hour, 15-minute. It's pretty choppy, but that's an interesting chart. let's see, LLY, LYB. Ooh, yeah. That one, is that one near all time? No, that one is not near all time. So I'm going to let LYB go, even though that's an interesting looking chart. But I did like LLY, so I'm going to write that one down. And we're going to put them all on our own watch list. Let's see. Next one is MLM. Oh my goodness. What is that? It's a materials company? That's a daily chart? Wow. That's going to be expensive. Where's my option chain? That's where yeah. MLM options are weekly. No, they're monthly, and those are spendy. So we're gonna just let that go. That's not a trade for in here. Airbnb. Let's see. Let's look at that on, what do we have here? Airbnb. It's got a 1 hour. Let's see what we're working with. Let's get rid of this. I mean, Airbnb kind of looks like Abercrombie. Just looks like buy it on a dip, right? Let's see what a 30-minute looks like. That's interesting. I'll write that one down. Okay, so that was... Did this thing shift on me? Where did it go? Okay, we've got waste management, right? Here's the 3 in a row stacked squeezes in waste management that we're playing right now. 78 being the biggest. MLM. AXON we can look at. So I'm going to write down waste management. AXON on what? 1 hour is the largest. Oh wow. Where are we on the daily? I like that one. I think AXON has... No, it just has monthlies. But you could go to the April 19th. Those are interesting. All right, I'm going to write down AXON. Let's see, what else do we have? See, I like it when I see, I like it when we can get a squeeze kind of in, or a number of squeezes in this range right here. Kind of that 78 down to 30. Right? So we kind of looked at those. Now we have some longer term ones. We have some 195s. Right? CL I know is a good one. I was looking at that earlier. Oh boy. Look at that on a 130. Yeah, CL. Let's see if we can find 1 or 2 more. What about HII? Wow. I'll write that one down. And then let's look at NOC. All right, we got quite a few names here. I don't like NOC. BSX was one more. Let's try that. BSX. Oh boy. Look at that chart. That's crazy. Just how are options on BSX? A lot of monthlies here coming up on the scan. You can buy out till May. I mean, you could buy out till April too. The 6750s BSX. All right. Anything else jumping out at us here on this on this scan? I also want to check the John. You got into BSX yesterday. Is Post on here? No. Let's see. Ooh, MCK. Yeah, let's look at that one. Oh, that's extended. God, what a chart. We did a trade plan on that one back. I wish I could remember what day we did that. Because I think that thing has exploded since then. All right, let's take that off. I do like MCK as well. I mean, there's so many things to look at. Let's look at the NASDAQ, see if we've got anything. Wow, CCEP. Wow. All right, so that's not quite in a daily. Let's check out a 130. Man, that's an interesting chart. I wonder if they have... You know what would be interesting is if we could sort these by names that have weekly options. Because my Thinkorswim scan kind of does that. So we don't get a lot of monthlies. Like right now, a monthly would be fine because you could play the April 19th. It's far enough out. CCEP only has monthly expirations. Let's see, what else do we have? We got Amazon. And then there's just not a lot here in the NASDAQ that have those stacked squeezes. Netflix? Let's take a look at Netflix. I mean, that's crazy looking chart. All right, we'll do that one. All right, and we'll check out Nate's private watch list, see what he's got rolling. Amazon, LLY, Netflix. Yeah, okay. So we've got a pretty serious list. Most of them in the S&P. That's where we're getting the majority of our squeezes. Okay, so let's check those out. Mark a few of them up. Make some trade plans, shall we? Let's move this guy out of here. Now what I'm going to do is... Let's do this, and then I'm just going to delete all these guys. Let's add the ones we just put in there. So AMZN, WTW, LLY, Airbnb, Airbnb, WM, AXON, CL, HII, BSX, MCK, and NFLX. Okay, now we've got our little watch list over here. CELH. To what, this watch list that I'm building right now, or to Sam. Yeah, buddy, I don't add names to Sam. I don't have that. That's above my pay grade, as they say. But I'm sure Nate can when he's back. But I do like that one. No, it's just a saying, Michael. It's just a saying. Yeah. So ask Nate Bear when he's back. He'll be able to put that in there. I mean, I may have that capability at some point, but I don't right now. Can I please show the nine indicators present on the charts? Oh, here? Well, I have some of them turned off. The ones you have present on the charts are the Squeeze Pro, the EMAs, volume profile, and then I have some price action concepts up here. So it's all the standard ones. And I'm happy to share this setup with you if you want. You just won't get the paid indicators. You'll just get all the free stuff. Okay, so let's mark some of these up. Let's check out Amazon. God, Amazon looks amazing. But let's see if we can find an entry spot. I'm going to mark that up using volume profile there. And a nice move off of the bottom there. God, this thing looks just ready to go. I mean, I could see an entry off of. Oh man, it almost just gave it to us. Got an order block up here that is trying to chew through. Man, an entry off of VWAP today might be pretty interesting on Amazon. Who said they got into Amazon when I came on the mic right at the beginning? Did you get it on this little dip here? Be a nice entry if you did, especially if it starts going. Jared got in on the dip. Nice. Yeah, it's a good spot. It's a good volume profile spot for a pickup. Now we just need to see it probably come up like this. Maybe test that trend line and maybe break out. We'll see. I don't know if it'll happen today. I think things are going to probably stay pretty quiet today. It's just the way it feels at the moment. Qs aren't doing much of anything. Just kind of going sideways, huh? All right, so let's keep looking at a couple of these. Amazon's interesting, although you'd have to. I feel like I'd have to be pretty tight with my risk reward if I was going to take something off of here, because I would be risking probably down into here on a trade like that. So I would want to make sure that my risk was pretty well controlled. you could probably go... I'd actually love it off of VWAP today if it would give us that move. It's kind of this chunk right here, this red chunk. All right, let's check out a different one. We had WTW on... Oh, were we looking at that on a daily? Yeah, look at that. I mean, that is a pretty chart. So here's our point of control. This is pretty much our value area low, which I don't love the risk reward there. But if you're playing off of this, there's kind of another... Let's look at this a little closer here. So then let's get our... Test the high there. And then we've definitely got a value area high right here. So let's look, let's get a little closer. Kind of got that working. It's got to get up and over. Wow, it's almost got to get more up and over this section here. Yeah, I like this on a daily, but you'd have to go way out. What are we talking? WTW? I mean, you got the April 280s, 20-cent spread. Still, your target would be about 280. Yeah, so this is coming up into resistance at the moment. I'd like to pick... I'd love to pick this up kind of off... somewhere off of this trend line area. Right in here at 273.51 if it gave that sort of a dip. I'm going to put an alert right there. Nope. Nope. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to put a WTW alert. I would be going out 24 days because we're playing this on the daily. I do like that chart quite a bit. And I'd be targeting about... What would I be targeting here? Let's see here. Target 281.62. That would be my target. And I'd like to get into it a hair lower. All right, let's see what else we have. LLY. LLY is in a pretty interesting spot. Kind of right at that point of control, isn't it? Pretty close. Let's look on the 1 minute. I can almost see trying to pick that up. Wonder if it'll give us a move down into VWAP. I mean, this daily chart looks like it's ready to go. God, those... Check out the options here. They start to get a little spendy. for most people, you'd probably be playing this week's. Almost in a lotto style trade. I could see picking something up down here off of 77, 771, 76. If we got down there. What does it start to look like here? Yeah, we're kind of forming this little flag here. I'd love to see if I could get that a little lower. But to be honest, I'd probably just stay away from this name. Should we check out Post? I've seen you guys bring that up a couple of times on the 78. Oh yeah. Got a momentum shift. Right down into this point of control. Oh, did anybody pick it up? Would that be this morning? Yeah, this morning off that little dip. That would have been a great pickup. Did anybody pick that up? Off of like 105.36. Yesterday's little dip there. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. It's got to get over. It's got to get over there, and it's got to get over that. I should make those red. This is a Nate Bear trade, right? He isn't in it. Huh. Oh, he's in Frog, right? What's this look like on the daily? Yeah, it's pretty nice. You can see by these candles, it just keeps trying to get through that double top there. Man, where would I put that? Right there. Man, it keeps trying. That's interesting. And as you can see here, for it to get going, it's got to chew through this massive order block up here. And so it just kind of keeps getting rejected out of this area. But yeah, if you can get above 107, this thing is gonna go. Oh, Post is an Oxford call this last week. What do their options look like? Man, that's a sharp drop off. They're also, you'd have to go out to the Aprils. Are they playing the 110s? I'm guessing. For April 19th. Oh, way out to June. Interesting. You have the 110s. Yeah, that makes sense to me. The 110s make sense to me. I mean, right now it's, well, 105.46, 105.71. I mean, your risk is. Oh, see, we're talking about it now. It wants to start moving. Yeah, the 110s are pretty cheap. But at the moment, they're only a 24 delta. So for every dollar move, you're only going to get 24 cents of movement. But once you crack, and that's going to take a minute. 105s. Yeah, because they're $5 options. I mean you don't even get into 50 deltas until way up here. So that's the big difference here is you're getting those for pretty cheap, but you've got to move all the way up into 110 to even make those 50 deltas. You could buy the 105s for a lot more money, but you'd be in the money. That's an interesting trade there. Airbnb feels a little extended, other than sort of cup and handle that it started to create. I mean, it broke that high. I do like Airbnb, but I'm going to skip over marking it up. Waste management, I am in. I do like this chart. Bought this today. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Bought this today. I'm targeting kind of this 214 area. It's been pretty quiet today. You want an arrow on arm? You got it. If I can remember where I put the arrows. There you go. Now it knows where to go. Would you like it to happen faster? Sorry. How about that? I don't want it to think that it can't. It's got time. It needs to go. God, this AXON chart. Ooh, baby. I like this one a lot. Let's put another one there. Can't remember. AXON. God, those are spendy. Might have to do a spread on this one. $320s. This is a paid indicator. These sale blocks. It's a Lux Algo paid indicator. Lucky, I usually draw my lines. I start drawing my lines on the time frame that I'm playing, and then I start looking at a shorter time frame. So if I was playing this axon chart on the 195, I have a daily squeeze? Not yet. I would start drawing my lines here on a larger scale. So I would draw, I would draw my value area low there. I'd come in and I'd draw my value area high, sort of in here, like that. Right, and then I've got 2, maybe 3 point of control areas within that pattern. Then I'm going to come to like a 15-minute and look at more data, right? Make sure my lines are in the right place. Make sure what I'm seeing makes sense. Like that. So you can see this point of control line kind of lines up with an order block here. This one with an order block here. And then I kind of make some adjustments to those lines. So that's how I do that. I mean, AXON is not, I don't want to get into it here because it's coming up into this resistance spot. I want to see if it can give me a pullback. So I'm going to ask for an alert when I get back into that first point of control line to see if it rejects here. Jim, there's a buying a spread is like a credit spread or a debit spread, and you can Google those. Is you're selling one option and then buying the one behind it, either up or down, as protection. So you're not selling an option naked, essentially. So it limits it's a more conservative play. It limits your profit potential, but it also caps your loss potential. So, and it allows you to use theta generally to your advantage. But I would Google spreads and read about them, and we have some videos on spreads here too. But it kind of takes a while to go into that. Okay, so we've got AXON. CL was, what did we decide on CL? I think we were looking at like a 195 on that one. Is that right? Good Lord. I want CL off of 88.48. Let's make sure that their options look good. Yeah. They sure do. I'd probably go out to April, buy the 89s or the 88s. Since we're playing it daily, and I'd love to try and pick it up off of this 88.48 level. Let's put an alert in there. So I've got alerts on a bunch of these things, right? And I love that CL. I love this daily chart, right? Whoops. Don't do that. I mean, are we to new highs? We're to new highs. And we're just sitting. I mean, it's still got a ways to go, but this magnet of 100 just sits up there. As well as this magnet of 90. Doesn't have a long way to go to get to 90 though. But I like this chart, and a move right back into that 88.48 and a push up into 90 would be awesome. Although it looks to me think we might have had a little fake false breakout here. Yeah, we did. Well, we've kind of had two. So we call that the top. Had a little tiny one there. And then we had this one here. Yeah, but I would definitely like to pick this up right in here. Or even down here at 88.12 if that's another option. Yep. So I like CL as well for a push. Yeah, good question, Jay Dizzle. Because let's say, for the simplest answer, let's do this. Let's do this together. This would be a good kind of learning experience. On this chart, the way I've drawn it up, where would be a good stop out point? Where does this chart, from what you can see on the screen, where does it break down? Yeah, that's right. 88.12 area, right? So this 88.12 area, this value area low, and you can see these two order blocks sitting here. So a break of this area to me would be a stop out within, this pattern here, right? As we're looking for this pattern to break up. So the reason I don't want to pick it up here is because we're kind of in no man's land, right? Right now, my risk reward, let's say I'm targeting, 90. Let's look at our risk reward. Okay, so if that's my stop area, if I pick it up right here, it's almost a 2-to-1. So you could pick it up right here if you wanted. Generally, what I do is I target a break of the high as my main target, and then that secondary high as or the 90 my target. My real target should be, let's go from high, we can go high to low here. So the real actual target should be like 89, 81, but I like 90 as a psychological level, right? But we're looking at a break of this high. So for me, and it's pulling back a little bit, so let's go to where it's pulling back. This is less than a 1-to-1 risk reward. Now I would have 2-to-1 on my trailer, right? But we want to buy support, right, and sell resistance. So if I mark this chart up and say, well, I'd like it a little lower, so I'm going to wait until it comes into this point of control level, and I might adjust this point of control level depending on what I see here if I went into a little bit more detail, right? But even if I come into this red line that I made down here, this one of these volume profile levels, and then I'm targeting this high, now I'm almost a 2.5-to-1 risk reward. Or if I get it down here, I'm almost 6-to-1 risk reward, and then even more on the trailer. So just because I like a chart doesn't mean that's exactly where I want to pick it up. And that's kind of the patience of this that I'm trying to kind of show, right? Is that, we come in, we mark up these charts, but if we're sitting up here near resistance, where like this one, I like AXON, right? But I don't want to pick it up right here. I mean, it could push through and go without me, but we're sitting up here at resistance. What's probably going to happen here? So we're going to get a pullback to a level that would be appropriate for me to take it for a move up. But because I like it, just buying it here doesn't give me an advantage, because then where's my stop? Well, my stop's maybe way down here, right? And then where's my target? I don't know, just some sort of profit. So my risk reward is skewed, right? This is like a 1 to 3 risk reward, which is not great. So finding names you like in great setups and then being patient enough to mark them up is important. What were we just on? CL? Yeah. And see, this is pulling back now. I'm imagining the whole market is at the moment. Yeah, but this is pulling back, and this might give us an entry, right? But had I got it when we were talking, now I'd be underwater. And sometimes they go without you. I mean, it's not a a tried and true situation, but knowing where your stop out point is before you enter a trade is really important. And then you can gauge your risk reward. Because if you don't, then you just get into a trade and it starts not working, and then you're like, well, I guess I'll oh, I hope it'll bounce here. Well, no, I hope it'll bounce here. It bounces a little bit. You're like, yes, it bounced there. And then it kind of does this, and you're like, oh crap. Well, maybe it'll bounce down here somewhere. And then, you're towards your expiration, and you're like, oh, my option's worth 0. So that's part of having a plan. I hope that makes sense. And it's a great question. Like it's a great way to use that question to help illustrate an answer. Yeah, Mark. No, Yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it? That's everybody's experience. I mean, every until you can get over that, uh, jumping in without a plan and being able to cut losers when the chart breaks down, you'll have that experience time and time and time and time and time and time again. I mean, I can't. I've had that experience in my days. I mean, I don't even have a number for that. It's just until you can wait for a good entry. There's nothing better than marking up a chart, in my opinion, and coming in the morning, and you get kind of a morning dip or a little bit of a gap down, and one of your alerts goes off, and you flip over to CL, and CL is dipping right into this area, and you're like, hey, that's an entry spot for me with a really good risk reward. I'm gonna take a shot, and you just watch this thing go bonk, and then over the next day or two, you get your move. There's just nothing better than that. All right, let's look at HII. What did we like that one on? Like a 130, I think. I didn't write that part down. How does HII options look? A lot of monthlies coming up. The 300s aren't bad. Yeah, they're not bad. And we are right at point of control right here. And is that breakdown maybe? So then, if we're targeting break of the recent high, so like this one, for instance, I can't remember who asked the question of why don't you get into it here. God, even here, I mean, you could use this point of control line as your over under, right? Your stop out level. So here you could take a shot in theory, right? And if you use this as your stop, and that is your target. It's two to one. It's okay. And then you draw in your extension here. And then your trailer target is 302. I mean, 300 is going to be a magnet. So really, you're probably targeting more like 300 or just under 300 because it'll reject off of there. So yeah, you can see your 2.5 to 1 risk reward. I like that. I like HII right here. For what are we on? 78, 195. God, those are spready. Maybe I don't like this. I was gonna say I like the 300s, but they're kind of spready. So I would probably leave HII alone. Amazon at VWAP. That's where I said it'd be nice to pick up, didn't I? Yep. How's the overall market looking? It's okay. Still just going sideways. The hard part is I kind of think Amazon will continue to go sideways. It'll be interesting to see what it does right here, though. You know, what I'd love to see is this just kind of do this. Maybe it bounces a little bit. Maybe it kind of does this and gives us that. Because right here you have a support level and a trend line level. Get two of those to match up. I like that especially if we get a little flush down and reclaim. That's what I'd be watching for there. How do you add squeezes on a paid subscription? You just go to the indicators and you type in SQZPRO, right? And then you choose this Squeeze Pro indicator by Make It Zero. And it's on there for free. Yeah, you could do a put credit spread. Problem is you'd have to choose, what are they, $5 wide? Hold on. I assume they are. Or 250 wide. Yeah, so you'd have to probably pick the 775s. That's way down there. I guess you could pick the 180s, but you'd have to. I mean, that's probably your more of your 1-to-1. Sell the 180s, buy the 177.50s behind it. Frog starting to move. Yep. All right, does anybody have anything else they want to glance at really quick? Did we get through our... That's not the list I was looking at. We did HII. I do like HII here. Maybe with a potential add down to 287.77. Oh, that's right. I didn't like the options, did I? All right, BSX. And BSX just looks ready to break out. Yeah, this is one of those. Probably wait for a pullback. into maybe, if you like BSX, into this maybe this 6730 area for a breakout. And then MCK is just out of here. Nothing to do with that at the moment. And then Netflix is also just raring to go. Look at this trend line here. God, I'd love a pickup off of that trend line on a dip, like on a morning dip. So if you had this trend line in here, right, and this morning you get this, I mean, this is the power. Like that trend line I had was in there, but it wasn't extended up into this area. So when you draw trend lines, a lot of times you can go, you can just have them extend to the right, so that they're always up there if you've drawn them before. And then you get this dip this morning, and you're like, oh, well, that looks like a great spot for a pickup. It's right off a trend line. Does it also line up with some VP? Yes, it does. And then all of a sudden you're 10 minutes into the morning and you've got your charts marked up properly, and you go, oh, that's coming into a trend line. I'm just going to take a shot. And if it breaks below, I'm going to stop. And then all of a sudden, you're up 100% on this boink, right? That's the sound it makes. That's a legit sound. You want me to show my fib settings? Can do. Hold on a sec. Whoops. I don't know why I didn't pick that up. There you go. Kurt, a lot of you picked up the Netflix this morning? That's great. That's great. Did you get this? Whoever just asked for that? Add or cut NXT? I don't know. Let's see what NXT looks like. Is this a trade a lot of people are in? NXT? Netflix did make that noise this morning. That's great. It wasn't the bong bong that whatever it's. A lot of you are in NXT. I assume you're probably playing this on the daily. Is that correct? Yes to the daily. 419s. Okay. I can't tell you, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can give you my analysis. How about that? And then I do have to jump off. Okay, so those are my value area highs and lows. I mean, in theory, we could come down even lower on this, but let's see what we think here. Look at a 30-minute chart. Let's get rid of the order blocks real quick. So this chart on the daily is by no means broken to me. Okay. So my value area high and value area low are drawn in here. I'm probably going to move this up to maybe like here. That makes a little bit more sense to me based on the chart. Okay. You can see kind of the two, let's see here. Well, there's probably about 4 primary points here. But to me, if I was playing this on the daily, my stop would be down here at 56.09. That would be where this trade breaks down for me. I don't know where entries were. I don't know where targets are. I would say that I would think a target would be up here, 64 ish, maybe 65. And if you're out till April, if I was in this, especially if I picked it up somewhere down in here, then this chart is not broken, or here, or here. If I picked it up anywhere in here, this chart is by no means broken. If I were trading this, my stop would be a break of 56.08. I'm not trading this, and I have no idea what the trade parameters were. So this is the thing that you'll hear me say a lot. I understand this is a Nate bear trade, and I like this chart. So like, I agree with this trade. I like this chart a lot. The question that I have for you all that are in this and are wondering what to do, and you'll hear me say this a lot. So, and this is a good thing to always remember. What was your trade plan when you put it on? Where was your stop out? Where was your target? And what was your risk profile? And if you can't answer those questions, I would say you shouldn't have the trade on. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. I'm still sort of recovering from being ill, and I was at a volleyball tournament all yesterday. My daughter had a volleyball tournament, yelling and cheering, so my voice is trashed at the moment, so I apologize. And you'll see me go through this. You bought the $60 calls. I was doing the cheering. She was doing the playing. So I would say, what was the plan? And what was your risk? So if I'm just sort of guessing here, right? I'm sort of guessing at this. Maybe it was put on in here, and you got this nice move today, right? Is that today? And then we're kind of fading off here, right? Am I somewhat accurate in the trade? Right? Okay. So if it was put on in here, if I had put on a trade in here, this is still not broken, right? If I'd put a trade on in here, my risk would have been, let's say I put it on in here near this this red line I've put in, but let's go a little higher, let's say. Okay. My risk would have been down to this 56.11. And I'd be targeting a break of the high right? If not, that 1272 line. So I have a 3-to-1 risk reward or a 2-to-1 risk reward, which is still acceptable. But I would have chosen. So what did you say? You bought the 60s? So what is this, NXT? You bought the 60s for April 19th. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of traffic in those. I can see that. All right, so let's say you paid $2 for them. Just you probably got them for less, but let's say you paid $2 for them. And what are you risking? You're risking, let's say you're risking $2. So those are currently. So this is a good lesson, right? We do this a lot. Those are 41 deltas. We might need a calculator for some of this. Let's say you paid $2 for them, and you're risking $2 on the underlying stock, right? Would you say that that's accurate? So even if you factor in this as a 50 delta, right? Even it's less, but for the sake of easy math. Oh, you're averaged in at 315 per contract? Okay. But the idea being, so you probably bought a little higher and it's coming down. I would imagine there's the possibility of adding if we come down into here or here. But the point being, right, as this drifts back to your entry spot, knowing what your total risk is, right? So for that $2 move, how much is your option going to move per dollar move here? Can anyone answer that at a 41 delta? Yeah, 82 cents for a $2 move. So it's going to move 41 cents for every dollar, right? Roughly, give or take. So let's say your risk is, $1. Or no, let's just keep it at 81 cents. Sorry. 81 cents is your risk. Just about a dollar per option contract. Right? So then you have to factor in if my max loss, on any given trade is, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, whatever my max loss is. Let's say it's, $200. Well, then that means I could buy 2 contracts, but I couldn't buy 3 because for every contract I'm buying in this setup, if I'm buying right here, risking $2, buying a 41 delta, right? I'm risking $81 per contract. So $1.62 if I buy 2 contracts, right? But if I buy 3 contracts, then I've exceeded my risk parameters. Right? Does that kind of make sense? So understanding what your risk parameters are is really important. And then you have to factor in theta decay. This is I call this the dumbified math, right? That we coined that phrase last time. It's dumbified, but it's kind of just simple. Like, is this what I'm risking? And then because you're in April 19th, you're not going to get chewed up by theta too badly until 2 weeks out. If you were buying this week's options, you would really have to factor in theta, and this isn't going to work. Right? So again, like, I don't know, you might have, let's just say you have 5 contracts right now. Right? You have 5 contracts but your risk parameter, your total risk parameter is, you know, I mean, you could even say, let's say I'm willing to risk $200 per contract, per trade, right? That's my max risk. Well, at 81-cent loss per contract, if you have 5 contracts, are you exceeding your max loss risk, your risk parameters? I don't have a calculator, but I can do some easy math in my head. Yeah. So, right, you're basically doubling your risk. I would argue that a lot of people in here are in this trade and they don't have any risk parameters put on. They're just waiting to hear whether we're staying in this trade or not. If you're, and this is a growth mindset type of thing, everyone. So, there's no judgment here. We're all learning. Put a 4 in chat if you're just waiting to hear if we're in this trade or not, and when to get in and when to get out. That, yeah, and so my guess is, and thank you for putting that in there, because that's a growth mindset, right? We all want to learn how to be better, and to have a growth mindset is to admit when, you know, the decision making process might need review, right? So even if you are waiting for those things, understanding what your risk parameters are in this trade so that you can minimize your overall loss, right? Keep it to whatever this is. This could be $200 is your max loss, and $1,000. I use these nice round numbers because it's just easy to understand. Is my max trade, total trade with a $200 risk. So I'm risking 20% on every trade, but I don't want to exceed that. So if you come in here and you go, oh shoot, I'm going to buy 10 contracts, right? And I'm going to put on a $2,000 trade, now I'm risking, $800 in this one trade. And I'm way outside my risk parameters and my max trade parameters. So those are just important things to factor in. Yeah, and you can add to it. In my opinion, you can add to a trade, but only if you've left room to do so. So if you buy one contract up here somewhere, and then you buy a second contract down here, then you know where your stop out is. You still know where your risk is. Those kinds of things. So I like this trade a lot, and if this trade is being played on the daily, I would argue that it just happens to be down today, right? It gave us a nice little spike up and a rollover, but this is by no means broken if we're playing the daily squeeze. By no means is it broken. And in fact, we can do a little, then I got to jump off after this, but we can come in here and put a little anchored VWAP on there. And if we look at this chart from an anchored VWAP perspective, from this gap up, right? We got our gap up on earnings. This blue line is anchored VWAP. We are literally pulling into anchored VWAP and potentially bouncing, and a VP level. So had I bought one contract up here, this might be a spot where I'm adding if I'm taking this trade on a daily, and I've done a good job with my risk management and only taken, let's say, half a position with the idea that I'm going to add later if it dips. Anchored VWAP is basically just volume weighted average price from a certain date and carried forward. On most of these charts, you'll see a dotted line. Like if I go to a 1 minute, all right, this dotted line here is VWAP, volume weighted average price, but it's just basically for that single day because it kind of resets if we get a gap down or a gap up or anything like that. So if you do an anchored VWAP, I can choose the gap up from earnings, right? And then it tracks the volume weighted average price across this whole multi-day section. That's how that works. Okay, y'all, I've been on for quite some time. My voice is about trashed. I kind of wanted to make up for not being in here yesterday. So I know some of this was probably rambling, but I hope there was something helpful in there somewhere. But Nate's, I believe Nate's going to be back on here at 3, and I'll be in chat and whatnot. But there's a lot of, I mean, if you don't have NXT, I like it here. It's in a good spot on this, good spot for a pickup on this daily. So hope y'all enjoy the rest of the day. I imagine it stays relatively quiet. I mean, we're down here kind of testing some lows on the Qs. Might even get a little sniper set up. Potential sniper setting up here on the Qs. Just for those of you who like those kinds of trades. Into an order block, into low. Just kind of watching to see what happens. All right, I will talk to everyone later. I hope you have a great day.